Alright, this video is how to change fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions, percents to fractions, percents to decimals, decimals to percents, and I think I got all of them. But if I missed one, we'll figure it out now. But it's a lot of converting, so that we're going to just go through in order. We're going to do fractions to decimals, fractions to percents, and then we'll do percents to decimals, percents to fractions, decimals to percents, and decimals to fractions. So basically, if you have a fraction like 2%, this is the same as 1 over 50, which is the same as 0.02. These all mean the same thing. They're equivalent. So you can go from percent to fraction, percent to decimal, decimal to fraction, decimal to percent, or fraction to percent, or fraction to decimal. Okay? So let's try it. Here's how you change a fraction to a decimal. You divide. So you just take your calculator and you enter it in exactly how it appears. It's 7 divided by 17. And then there is your decimal. So 7 divided by 17 equals, it's a 7 not a 2, 0.41, and we'll round to 2. Alright, what if you have a mixed number? Well, this is the whole part, so that gives us a 2, and then this is our decimal, so that's where we get our decimal. So if we go 3 divided by 7, it will tell us our decimal. 3 divided by 7. So it's 0.429. So it's 0.429. And then that is our decimal. So that's how you change a fraction to a decimal. Now, how do we change a fraction to a percent? Well, the first thing you do is you change it to a decimal, which is what we did first. So let's rewrite those. Let's bring them down. Okay? And then now here's the clean part. To change a fraction to a decimal to a percent, you move the decimal to the left twice, and then that is where you put your new decimal. It's 41.2, and then now you put percent. And again, you move this one over 2, and now you have a percent. Well, why do we move it to the right 2? Well, you can think of it one of two ways. Number one, we want the percent, so you go in the direction of the percent. But the main idea is if you want to change a percent into a decimal, you're dividing by 100. This means right here, divide by 100. So, what is the opposite of division? Multiplication. So if you take that decimal, 2.429, and you multiply it by 100, it moves the decimal 2 places because there's 2 zeros. So all we're doing from here to here is we're multiplying by 100. And then to go from here to here, we're multiplying by 100. That's it. Okay. Percent to decimal. So to move a decimal to a percent, we go to the right 2. So to make a percent into a decimal, you take your decimal, which is at the very end, and you move it to the left 2, 0.35. This is basically dividing by 100. But the way you can kind of remember it, if you still just really don't get this point, if you want to make a percent, you multiply by 100. If you want to get rid of a percent, you divide by 100. So if you want to make a percent, you move the decimal 2 to the right, going towards the percentage symbol. If you want to get rid of a percentage, you move the decimal to the left 2, going away from the percent. You want a percent, go towards it. You want to get rid of it, go away from it. So we're going to go away from this twice, which gives us 0.0875. Well, there's no decimal. So what you can do is either create a decimal or you can do another trick. So what we do is we change this into an improper fraction. So 2 times 7 is 14 plus 3, that's 17 sevenths percent. And if you remember, percent means per 100. So what we do is this. It's 17, and then on the denominator you just put 2 zeros. That's it. So if you remember from when we did percent conversions, if you have a percent, it puts 100 on the denominator. So all we have to do is put 100 on the denominator. So we have 100 on the denominator, and then we can just take our calculator. So we take our calculator, and we do 17 divided by 700, and that gives us 0.024. So 0.0243. 0.0243. Alright, the other option is to take the fraction itself and just convert it to a decimal right off the beginning. So that means we'd have a percent containing a decimal. So if we take our calculator and divide 3 by 7, we get 0.428, so we'll say 0.43. So 2.43, and this is still a percent, because we have not, all we've done is taken that little fraction and convert it to a decimal, but it's still a percent. In order to change a percent to a decimal, you have to go over 2. Remember, we want to get rid of the percent. And that gives us the same exact answer. So you can change it to an improper, and then change that into a fraction, and then that into a decimal, or you can change that into a decimal. The whole point is there's a lot of different ways. But if you want to get rid of your percent, you have to divide by 100 at some point. That's the point. Okay. Next part. What if you want to change a percent to a fraction? Well, these are nice and clean. Percents are out of 100. We've already done that. So when you go back over here, remember, to make a percent into a fraction, you just put it over 100. So we take the 35, put it over 100, and then reduce. And all you have to do is look for 5s and 2s, because that's what 100 is made up of. It's 2 2s and 2 5s. So if we divide by 5, we get 7 out of 20. And that's your fraction. How do you know it's correct? Well, you can just take your calculator and recheck it. 7 divided by 20, hit enter. It's 0.35, move it over 2, you get 35%. What if you have a decimal? Well, it's the same thing. It's 8.75 over 100. But the thing is, we want to get rid of this decimal. We don't want decimals. So you move the decimal over 2, but if you move it 2 on the top, you have to move it 2 on the bottom, which gives us 875 over 100, and then 2 more zeros. And then again, we still have to reduce this. So we divide the top by 25, the bottom by 25. It's 875, so that's how you can tell there's a 25. So what is 875? Let's get this out of the way. Divided by 25, we get 35. And then the 10,000 divided by 25 is 400. Oh, there's still another 5 in there. So that gives us 7 and 80. And there it is. And again, how do you check it? Plug it back in the calculator. 7 divided by 80. We always want to double check stuff. We get 0.0875. Move it over 2, and it's 8.75. Alright, what if you already have a fraction? Well, we've already done this. It's right above. So what you do is you change it to an improper percentage, an improper fraction inside of that percent, and then you just take and you add 2 zeros to the bottom. And there it is. So that's how you change percents to fractions. Alright, last thing we have is decimals. So how do you change a decimal to a percent? Well, we've already done this one as well. We go over 2. That's it. Remember, you go towards the percent. So over 2. And there you go. Now remember, if you have a 10, anything that has a whole number, a decimal with a whole number, so a number with a whole part is going to be bigger than 100%. We already know that. If you have 1, it's 100%. If you have 2, it's 200%. So if you have 10, well, that's 10 hundreds, which is 1,000. And that's where we're getting 1,000%. So when someone says, oh, it's 10 times something, well, that means it's 1,000% of it. Okay. How about a decimal to a fraction? It's very quick. 31 over 100. How am I getting this? For every decimal place, you get a 0. This is review. You can go back and look at the decimals to fractions before. It's still the same thing. I just figured I'd throw it in there. So here, this is 10 for the whole part, and then 375, and then how many decimals? 3, so we get 1, 2, 3 zeros. We still have to reduce, so we do 25, and then that would be, let's just use the calculator. Wait, 375, that's 412, plus 3 is 15, over 40, and then they have another 5, which is 3 out of 8, and if we check it, here's the calculator. 3 divided by 8, 0.375, and there it is. See the 0.375, and then we add the 10, so it's 10.375. So we put it all together. This is 10 and 3/8. There you go. And that's everything. That's fractions, decimals, percent. Now, of course, it's a long video because we have so much we've done. But at the very end here, you notice I have a nice little table for you to practice, and I want you to practice all of these. Give them a shot. It's from decimals to percent, percents to mixed numbers, and then you can go back and forth, mixed number slash fraction, whatever it is. And you go back and forth, and you need to check them by converting them back and forth. Your decimal should match your mixed number, and so on. So give them a shot. I will put the answers up. So hit pause, and then I will put the answers up. Okay, and here are all of the answers. You got stumped on any of them? Again, look back up here on how to find it. You just have to find out what you're converting to what. So like for here, these were fractions with percents, changing them to fractions. So go to percents to fractions. Right here, percent to a fraction, and then there's the last one. It'll tell you how to do it. Okay, thank you.